Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tether Radio Podcast, the only podcast keeping you from spiraling out into the infinite abyss. I'm your host, Daniel, and I'm joined today by a very, very special co-host that has helped me out previously. Joseph is not going to be on this episode, but we'll be back probably for episode 50. But in the, quote, studio today, I have Aaron Hoskins back. Aaron, you want to say hello?
Hey there. Thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be back on here.
Hell yeah, man. It's, it was one of those things that, you're pretty good at getting me out of hairy situations with the podcast. So.
Well, I'm full of crap, so.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. You like to hear yourself talk, too?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Love nothing more.
Nothing
more. But would you have a good week, man?
Yeah, I had a great week. Nothing too crazy happened, so usually that's good. When you're an adult and nothing crazy happens for a week, I feel like that's a victory, right?
Uneventful is good.
Yeah. No news is good news, right?
Yeah.
How about you?
Dude, it's no complaints. I just got back in town from Nashville. Megan and I went to go visit one of my pharmacy school buddies, and she went to go meet up for a Tennessee Korean adoptees thing, and it was super cool. She got to connect with some fellow Korean adoptees, and hopefully they're gonna be able to do some stuff in Knoxville and I don't know, statewide stuff in the near future. So
that's pretty cool.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
But Finn in the car for 2.5 hours. That was pushing it.
That's a lot.
For sure. Yeah. We had to basically every time he'd wake up, we'd just immediately start shoving snacks in his mouth. Because it's very hard for a child to cry when their mouth's full. So
that's a great parenting strategy.
Yeah, right. I promise I'm a good parent. As I look down at my Wicked Weed Pernicious IPA and take a swig at 2:30 on a Sunday. So.
Hey, you keep their mouth full of food and you keep yours full of beer, and that's parenting right there.
It's called a win-win.
Yeah.
But anyway. So Aaron's gonna help me out today. He's gonna lead some of the articles, basically just guest host for me. And yeah, man, I think we got some good material. And I guess without further ado, let's fucking jump in.
Let's do it.
All right, man. So I pulled this first one from it's the Pensacola News Journal. This one's a kind of a short one. We like with this show we like to try to open up with a little bit lighter stuff, and then if we have some meatier deep dives, we normally try to push it toward the center, just to have a nice light start and light finish. But anyway, we like to compare our show to fine wines. They have clean finishes, but they're full bodied. So
I love it.
But anyway, so this guy, and I'm just going to read verbatim the first sentence from this, because it was one of these things that I was like, I literally read the first sentence and I was like, okay, this is 100% an opener.
No, it's that good.
Yeah. A Pensacola man was arrested for allegedly exposing his genitals and scooting toward women while riding a Walmart in-store scooter. So, Kiwan McCants was arrested Thursday and charged with indecent exposure, and he was booked at the Escambia County Jail on a $10,000 bond. So the police responded to a call, and basically what had happened was a female shopper and a female employee had both said that this dude, while on this scooter, he'd be like, hey, and he's like, "You're really pretty. You're prettier than I've ever seen. I like your hair." And then he'd jerk out his shit and show it off, I guess. So,
this is a modern day Romeo right here.
Right? Yeah. It's like if you can't get him with the tongue, man, get him with the dong. So it's just I don't know. It's maybe he's evolved past dick pics. It's like, why do I need your phone number when I could just whip it out?
I'm just going to whip it out right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like what you see?
I'm just gonna throw this out there. Just go ahead and throw it back if you don't have an interest.
I mean, maybe if he does this enough, one person is going to be interested. I don't know.
Hey, man, what is it? How does the saying go about casting a wide net?
Very wide net.
Yeah, seriously. But anyway, so he did this to a shop, one of the shoppers, and she reported him, and I think that was kind of when the police were called. And then he goes on to let's see, I want to make sure that I'm getting this correctly. Let's see, the employee said that the man told her she was pretty and that he liked her hair. She acknowledged his compliments, but decided to move one aisle over to stock shelves on a different spot. I don't blame her. That's kind of creepy, but
probably the right move there.
Yeah, but I love this. They keep saying like he didn't like pursue her, he scooted to her, which I guess is the correct verb to use while on a scooter, but it just like kind of takes some like validity out of the writing.
Oh yeah. No, and at the end of the day, you know, you feel bad for the woman, but how can you not laugh when the guy is on a scooter?
Yeah, exactly. Well, plus, I'm kind of wondering, I mean, I guess he may have some kind of, like, whatever, disability or something, but this dude's 27. So I would think that he was potentially a pretty spry individual that, I don't know, maybe he's just got a big, like, package that, you know, he needs to throw it in the front basket. So he can maximize, I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't look that big in his mugshot, so you would think he wouldn't need to be on a scooter. But, yeah, like you're saying, maybe he's just carrying so much weight down there that, you know, it's bad for his back.
He's like, doctor said I need a Mackie out of me.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so, yeah. So he scooted after her, and all the while telling her how pretty she looked. When she turned around for a second time, she said the man remained on the scooter and had his genitalia exposed. So, I don't know, man. Kiwan, I suggest that you come up with a different strategy, brother, because I think that's going to be an expensive lesson.
Yeah. It turns out you can't just whip it out in Walmart.
Yeah.
Even though you might want to.
But maybe, just maybe, you'll make an appearance on the People of Walmart website.
Well, you know, to me, this is another great example. Florida man striking again. Only in Florida does this happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And at a Walmart. I mean, how perfect is that?
Yeah. So I actually, small tangent, I actually heard of a kind of a fun game to play. You take your birth date, and then you Google Florida man, and then whatever your birth month and date are.
Okay.
And basically, like, there is literally a fucking story for every day of the year that occurred at some point in history.
I'm sure there's
kind of
at
thing.
least
from Florida.
one, yeah.
From Florida, man.
So have you done it?
I actually have not done it. I should have done it before the show, but there was one of the dudes down at the bar that I work at. He was telling me about it, and he was like asking everybody their like birth dates and stuff. But yeah, man. So if you want to, I don't know, it would actually be pretty fun to go through some of these at some point.
For
so
sure.
if we have any listeners out there that want to send in their search results or something like that to tetherradio@gmail.com or tweet us at tether_radio. Yeah, man, we would love to hear your personally curated Florida man stories.
That's incredible.
But
forget about zodiac signs. I feel like that's how you really learn about somebody.
Right?
What's their Florida man sign?
What's their Florida man story? But anyway, so speaking of being, I guess, sexually inappropriate, you wanna tell us what's going on with the self-help guru Tony Robbins?
Yeah, so you know, another day, another pervert outed. Really shocking, I know. So this one, Tony Robbins, the noted self-help guru, giant who speaks really loudly and makes people uncomfortable.
He's kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, he is creepy. So this one wasn't a huge surprise to me.
Yeah.
So BuzzFeed came out with a report recently that said Tony Robbins was accused of making inappropriate sexual advances on fans and staff members over the years, and also for berating sexual abuse victims.
Oh,
which that one really sort of...
That's super fucked, man. Like almost like victim shaming kind of shit.
Yes, exactly. And that really bothered me, because this is a guy who, sort of tries to act as almost like an unlicensed therapist to these people, and claims to have all this special knowledge, and really almost like a cult figure. And just preying on these people. Really, really dark, really messed up. And this comes right after Robbins was in some hot water for criticizing the Me Too movement. At one of his talks, he said that the Me Too movement was an excuse for women to get significance by attacking and destroying someone else. And he also told a story of a friend who refused to hire a female for a job, even though she was the most qualified candidate, because she was too attractive and it would be too much of a risk. So, Tony, you're kind of a shithead.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous. Did you know? So I of course sometimes I dig up some of these articles from Reddit. Actually, a decent bit comes from Reddit, because I think that it's the Reddit community is really good at pointing out at least fun things to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, kudos to all the Redditors out there upvoting shit that we can pluck for covering on Tether. But somebody had commented about trying to go to one of his conferences, or what are they called? Just
I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but he does these huge events.
And I mean, like, thousands of people.
Yeah.
Shit,
and the admission cost is, I've seen some that are $1,000, some that are $5,000, some that are $10,000.
This dude was saying like it was like $2,500.
Yeah, it is
one
not
person.
cheap.
Yeah,
and it's basically insane. This giant pump up speech.
Yeah,
with this guy on stage just basically telling you, you're going to be this amazing person if you just decide to be.
Yeah,
and doing some really uncomfortable stuff at the same time. There was one story where a woman came up and said that she had contemplated suicide, and he just went off on her, saying, you're better than that. You can handle this, and really just downplaying what she had been through. And, this guy just.
I mean, sometimes you have to, like, in my opinion, sometimes you have to just like deal with the negative. It's like you can't just flush shit out just by like being optimistic.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Sometimes you actually have to address what's making you feel that way and then be optimistic.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe this guy was drinking too much of his own Kool-Aid.
Yeah, no shit, dude. But I that just blew my fucking gourd that, like, well, first of all, I don't know. In this day and age, it's not that surprising to have, all these huge figures that are super influential, because I dare say that some women would throw themselves at Tony Robbins.
Oh, sure.
And then it's one of those things that it's like, oh, well, maybe they'd regret it kind of thing. Or probably the more likely is the fact that he thinks he's infallible.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, well, I'm going to get a touch feel on you, and you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm going to hit you with optimism after that.
Yeah, this guy's built this bizarre world. His business is now a multi-billion-dollar business, which is just wild because he was working as a janitor with no college degree at one point. So he's clearly, a hardworking, smart guy.
Yeah.
He's worked with people like Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, Oprah. This article even cites that he's worked with Pitbull. So if you're working with Mr. Worldwide, then clearly you are on top of something.
Jeez,
but these events, man, they're just like these giant, almost cult rallies.
Yeah.
And I've seen some videos of it, and it's just really bizarre. And he creates this atmosphere where he's almost like this savior complex.
Yeah.
And
honestly, it reminds me of like the what is it, the Osteen or Osteen?
Yeah. It's like a
Joel
megachurch.
Osteen? Yeah. And it's like doing the laying of the hands and shit, and just being like, oh, now you're motivated to go get.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, wait, what?
And yeah, it's really easy to see how somebody like that might lose touch with reality and start doing things to people that, you know,
Might be a little
they shouldn't do.
inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So shame on you, Tony.
Seriously, Tony, get with it, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to go to your own conference, brother.
Seriously.
So, even though I do love that, like, and this is, I just like to point this out because news media these days, it's in a really weird spot, and like this was investigated, or the investigation was published by BuzzFeed News, which is very funny to me because I swear to God, a year or two ago, anything that came out of BuzzFeed News was laughable. People are like, this is not a legit news source kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, how many, and I was trying to remember specifically what, I want to say it was like maybe the Jussie Smollett stuff, or like the college scandal stuff with Lori Loughlin and what's the other chick? Felicity Huffman. Mm-hmm. Like they were the ones that all these, like the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the New York Times, they're citing BuzzFeed News as their source.
Yeah, it's really weird how it's become this like legitimate news source recently.
Yeah, but
because to me, it's always the website to go to for, which Harry Potter house are you?
That's always my example for that, because it's like, hey, if you name 5 things that you like, we can tell you whether or not you're a hamburger or a hot dog man.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess that goes hand in hand with hard-hitting investigative journalism.
Yeah.
So,
dude, a nice quiz sprinkled in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But dude, that they're just a fucking data gold mine, because how many people take those quizzes on a daily basis?
Exactly.
Probably,
and think about what they could do with all that data. They know if you're a hamburger guy or a hot dog guy.
Yeah. It's either they're gonna serve up like what I don't know who sells hot dogs. Is there a hot dog?
Oscar Mayer.
Some Oscar Mayer ads.
Big hot dog.
Yeah. Big hot dog. Down with big hot dog. Oh my god. All right, well, rock and roll, man. Well, killer. Let's go ahead and cruise on to this next one from. I thought this was absolutely insane, and there's a larger conversation to have in regards to what's known as a EULA, or an end user license agreement. But anyway, so I pulled this one from Motherboard, which is like I think it's like the tech part of Vice News. But anyway, so Adobe tells users they can get sued for using old versions of Photoshop. So literally, Adobe has sent out these like not cease and desist, but basically warnings, and they're like, hey, if you haven't updated, your software, we've made updates that basically nullify the previous EULA that you signed up for. And so if you use this and you're found out to be using this, we will basically have legal action against you, or have a basis for legal action against you. So I'm talking about something that, for instance, you purchased back in, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's probably still working. And I mean, like, everybody knows about updates and all that shit, that it's like the first update in a new thing, you're just asking for bugs and stuff like that.
100%.
And so I completely understand why people would want to use older versions, because they're working properly. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, yeah, you want these new features and stuff, but you run the risk of having, bugs and issues and whatever. I hate the word glitches, but I'm just going to say that. But anyway, it's just not going to function how it should, kind of thing, if you update it. But yeah, so they sent out letters to some well, I guess some of the users. I don't really know exactly. It doesn't say that it was like a blanket thing that went out to like everybody that they have an email address, but I would assume if it's older than whatever iteration they're on, or at least a couple behind that, then they're like, hey, you got to stop using it and update. But literally within the letters, they said, we've recently discontinued certain older versions of Creative Cloud applications. Now, I had to look this up, but Creative Cloud applications is basically the Adobe suite. So we're talking about Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, like Premiere Pro, any kind of the video and photo editing stuff, including, I mean, hell, Acrobat Pro. But anyway, so if it falls under the Creative Cloud application suite, then that's what they're referring to. And they said, under the terms of our agreement, you are no longer licensed to use them. Please be aware that you should continue should you continue to use the discontinued versions, you may be at risk of potential claims of infringement by third parties. So, I mean, they're literally saying, hey, you keep using this shit and we find out, then you're going to get served up like a fine or a fee or something like that. And so it really, I wanted to add this one in because I know that I think I've mentioned it previously about video games, and basically the marketplace is evolving to you paying for access versus you paying for an actual product kind of thing. And I, for one, absolutely hate it. And the reason why is because shit happens, and most of the time, for instance, most of the time, it's going to have to ping their servers and say, hey, this guy, you know, he has an active license, that's cool, boom, you can use it. Well, that requires the internet. Well, some people want to play video games, not online, you know? So let's say that that's the case. Well, it's going to ping, and it's going to say, hey, you don't have an internet connection. I don't know if this is pirated. I don't know if this is legit. You can't play it.
You can't use the thing that you paid for.
Yeah, even though you paid to use it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these situations that, man, I don't trust companies any more than I absolutely have to. And the problem with the EULAs that these companies draft up is that literally the vast majority of them are like, hey, we can discontinue allowing you access to this, and you just have to agree to it. Oh, you don't want to agree to that? Well, then you can't use the product.
Yeah, that's what's so frustrating to me about this is these EULAs. I mean, if you attempted to read one, it would take the rest of your day, and you would be confused, and you wouldn't.
It's like lawyer jargon kind of shit.
And you have no choice other than to just click yes, and everybody just taps through these things.
Yeah.
But the fact that these things give them carte blanche to just unilaterally revoke the terms of your software that you paid for, so they can try to shift you into this subscription-based model of the newer product, even though yours is functional. That's just so messed up to me. And as someone who uses Photoshop CS4, I believe. Yeah. You know,
don't say that too loud. We might have we might have Adobe
hey Adobe, are you going to come after me now? My software is 5 years old and it still works.
Seriously. Come at me, bro.
So I may regret that one, but it's just if you bought it like I did, then why shouldn't you be allowed to use it?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the other thing that's very interesting is cuz and I believe Joseph was telling a story about it, and I don't know if I'm allowed to name the actual, whatever the actual company, so I won't. But basically, it's a heavy equipment company that has started installing these basically computers to track how a machine is used, kind of thing. Well, let's say you're a whatever Midwest farmer and you require some kind of combine or whatever, and it's got this device on it. Well, when you buy the equipment, you own all the equipment with the exception of that device. And they basically say, "Oh, you can't tamper with, you can't, basically we're not going to stop, gathering data on how you use the equipment and stuff like that." And so it's one of these things that you're just, it's like, well, I fucking have to use one of these to live, and basically anything with software in it is becoming one of these things that we're owning, in quotation marks, less and less of it.
Oh yeah.
So
the days of getting a CD or a DVD with software on it, or even a movie or a game or something, I still remember I have all these old cartridges for like my Sega back in the day, all my old Xbox games, and we're just moving to a place where that won't exist anymore. And if you want to go back and play a game that you played 10 years ago, you're gonna have to pay for it again, or pay for the service again,
exactly.
And you'll never own anything anymore. You'll just subscribe to the rights to have access.
And kind of in the same shoe, I guess, is the and I guess kind of still harping on the gaming industry. Wasn't it really neat when we could buy video games back in the day and you'd put it in and it would work?
It was amazing.
And it didn't require
patches.
Yeah, it didn't require a day one 2-hour patch.
Yeah, didn't have to download 4 gigs of patches immediately.
Yeah.
You just popped it in and it worked.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's pretty incredible, and I wonder, I feel like, and this could even probably be extrapolated over just software in general, that it's like, dude, it ships, and it probably ships at about 80 to 90%, well, probably closer to 80% functionality. And then it's like, they're like, oh, well, we'll patch it.
They're not going to try to make it perfect or as close to perfect as possible.
Yeah.
They're going to get it usable and get it out, and we'll fix stuff as it comes up.
Well,
maybe.
And customers, exactly. And customers basically are beta testing it for you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I read this and I was just like, ugh, I fucking hate EULAs, and they actually got in the article they interviewed a guy, Dylan Gilbert, who is, quote, a copyright expert. I don't know what his credentials exactly are, but he's with the consumer group Public Knowledge, and he was basically saying that users aren't likely to have much in the way of legal recourse to this sudden shift. Reason being is because most, if not all, of these people signed a EULA or whatever, or clicked I agree or whatever, and so it's one of these, like Gilbert said, their customers are forced to agree to a, quote, take it or leave it EULA, in which the licensor can change its terms of service without notice. So it's just like, you can use it one day, next day you log in and it's like, hey, you got to update and buy the new version, or you can go fuck yourself, kind of.
Man, it's just so messed up. I feel like this is one area where there really does need to be some sort of oversight or regulation.
Yeah.
These EULAs are just getting out of control.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be to the point where you're agreeing to things that you have no idea what you're agreeing to.
Yeah.
Just so you can try to use Photoshop or play a video game that you want to play.
Or shit, dude. Think about, I mean, I know that Aaron being a musician, me being a musician, man, I like CDs. I like physical media kind of thing, because the Spotify's and the Apple Musics and shit, super, super convenient. But the shit thing is one day they could basically say, hey, you don't have access to your music library that you previously paid for because we decided that it's actually worth a little bit more, and so you got to pay the difference or whatever. Oh, by the way, it's because you signed a EULA originally, and it's like if you don't want to be able to listen to Space Hog, man, then
and that's the thing, they can try to take away Space Hog, but at the end of the day, you and I are both going to have the Resident Alien physical CD that we can go listen to. And they're gonna have to pry that from my cold dead fingers.
Exactly, dude. They can spout off at the EULA, but in the meantime, wait and see. Sorry.
You knew it was just a matter of time before we got around to Space Hog.
I know, right? Exactly, dude. But anyway, so I'll get off my soapbox, because I mean, shit, dude, I could go on and on about EULAs and the evolution into basically cloud storage and a streaming a streaming service, which is pretty much where we're at this point. So, but anyway, so we're gonna kind of take a hard pivot, man, because this shit was intense. But you wanna get into that?
Yeah, hard pivot. Very intense. So last month in Nebraska, a man named Kurt Kaiser, who's a farmer, had a terrible accident where his leg was sucked into a piece of farm equipment, an auger, which is this tube that they describe as having an interior shaped like a screw. And so his leg gets pulled into this, and it actually rips off his foot. And the rest of his lower leg is trapped into this thing. And it's pulling him further and further in
so
as he tries to struggle out.
It was still on, like, it wasn't like he got caught and then, like, was able to turn the machine off. Like, this was, like, split.
So it wasn't on in the sense that it was like a motor pulling it, rotating it, pulling his leg in.
Gotcha.
But because of the way it was structured, as he was trying to wiggle out, he was getting further and further entrapped.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
so he's lost his foot. He's bleeding profusely.
Yeah.
He's, worried about bleeding out. He's reaching around. He doesn't have his phone on him. And he's out in the middle of the field and not near anybody. So he makes a quick decision and basically decides, I'm either going to die here or I'm going to have to cut off the part of my leg that's trapped into this. So just a little pocket knife.
So when I hear penknife, I always think of like the ones on keychains that are like the Swiss Army.
Yeah. That's a great mental image. That's basically what it is. So it's not like he has some sort of big meat cleaver to help with this. So he's got this small knife. Obviously, no anesthetic or anything. He's out in the field. His foot has already been cut off. His leg is mangled. I can't imagine how he even has the wherewithal to do this.
So I was actually talking to my buddy in Nashville about this, and because he was just asking what we were going to be covering or whatever. And I don't understand how, I mean, the human body, and I'm sure I've said this a zillion times, the human body is an absolutely incredible thing. But I don't understand how he didn't go into shock or pass out or something along those lines. Which, I mean, I guess, hell, dude, if you got, that adrenal glands going full bore, I'd say that probably had something to do with it, but...
Yeah. No, 100%, this guy's body realizes, hey, if we don't use everything we have right now, it's over.
Yeah.
And so he
self-preservation is a hell of a motivator.
It really is. But, and so his survival instinct takes over. But this man has to cut off what's left of his leg after his foot has been cut off.
God.
I just can't get my head over that. That is just wild.
Yeah.
And so after he does this, he then crawls 150 feet through this field to try to get to a phone. And then calls and, emergency crews come and take him to the hospital where he recovered for about a month. But now he, he's an amputee now and...
But he's alive.
He's alive. The craziest part is he actually has a really good attitude about this.
Yeah.
He said, it is what it is. You just got to make the best of all you can. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
The thing, though, that really was just sort of a sour part of this story is he said that there is a safety feature that covers the end of the auger.
Oh, God.
That he had removed in the winter. To try to allow the equipment to fit into something he was doing. And he never replaced the safety feature.
God.
So,
I guess you could say he's kicking himself in the ass over that one.
Man, that's...
Sorry.
I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
Oh, man. But, so, did you ever see the movie 127 Hours?
No, I didn't, but that's what I immediately thought about.
Yeah. Dude, so never read the book. I definitely saw the movie with Megan, and They did a really good job because that was James Franco, I believe.
Yeah, I think
right?
so.
I think they did a really good job because, like, I mean, now this guy, straight up, like, his arm, I believe, was broken, and it was wedged in between basically two boulders, and there was absolutely no way that he was going to be able to get out. And I mean, like, and the 127 hours was, I believe, how long he was trapped.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just one of these things that you're watching this guy saw through his arm, and, like, every time, I remember specifically, every time he'd, like, hit a nerve, they had, like, this weird thing that they would do, and it was just like, ugh! Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot imagine, but like I said earlier, man, the human bodies, or especially, I mean, how the brain, its idea of self-preservation is just like above all else kind of thing. It's like without life, you don't exist kind of thing in its eyes kind of thing. But
it's incredible what your body can naturally do when it's forced to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Under like a super high stress. And the thing is I mean, here we're sitting here, whatever, drinking beers and like talking about this story or whatever. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't even imagine that. I can't imagine cutting off a part of an appendage or whatever. Especially using a fucking penknife.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of these things that which I'm sure had we been put in a similar scenario, maybe we would have done the same thing. But
I mean, I probably would be dead.
Yeah.
Let's be real. This guy, Kurt, you're a badass.
You are a true badass, yes.
I could not have done that.
Yeah. But I loved the closing quote. He's just like, well, kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't think of fixing that thing, referring back to the safety feature that Aaron was talking about. And then he closes the article with, but that's why they call it accidents, I guess.
Man, what a 90s sitcom dad.
Yeah,
approach.
right. Cue the canned laughter.
Yeah. Exactly.
As he shrugs toward the camera, breaks the fourth wall.
And somebody pies him in the face or something.
Yeah. But anyway, so since that auger was basically attacking Kurt's leg, we're going to talk about how big data and Gmail is attacking your data. So
that was a very natural
that was so terrible. But anyway, so I pulled this one from Engadget. Gmail's log of all your purchases pops up in the privacy debate. So, as I'm sure, if anybody that uses Gmail out there, especially if you use the web app, basically what they rolled out this stuff to where it's like a smart inbox, and it will sort your mail in regards to important / personal email stuff, or ads, marketing stuff, and then I think there was some tab for social media notifications and shit like that. Well, in addition to all of that stuff, when CNBC was doing a report on Google and all the stuff that they're rolling out, because they were covering the I/O conference, which is I believe Google's big whatever. It's like the Apple conference kind of shit. But anyway, so they pointed out an oddly designed page that isn't as easy to access or use. And it's literally somehow and this is because they don't explain this in the article, and I think that Google was kind of reeling back because I think they just kind of expected this to fly under the radar. Mm-hmm. But it basically scans emails for purchase information, and then will make a note of that purchase information. So and it's labeled under purchases, and you can access it and I guess, control the, whether or not it does it or how much it does it or whatever, at myaccount.google.com/purchases. And they described it as a sorted log of digital and physical things that you've bought that Google's automated scans picked up from receipts sent to your Gmail inbox. So basically, anything that you have purchased that a receipt was sent to you in a Google account was most likely scanned and put on this page. Now, I think that's it's weird because they say, oh, well, we're not going to use this data and give it to like marketers so that they can, more easily, have target markets and all that jazz. They're like, oh, well, it's just like, honestly, I was trying to remember what they said about it. You can delete this information any time. We don't use any information from your Gmail messages to serve you ads. And that includes the email receipts and confirmations shown on the purchase page. But the thing that they don't tell you is why they're doing it and what they are using it for, kind of thing. So I would almost take that comment that I just read as of currently, we are not doing anything with this data, Yeah. And then once this kind of goes to the back of everybody's mind, and it's not a big deal, I dare say that Google is not the benevolent, omnibenevolent company that most people probably think they are. They're in it for the same shit, man. The money. So
they're obviously going to use this to try to make money.
Yeah. It's like, and this is the interesting thing. This is not just online purchases. If you bought, which I know, most places these days, unless it's like an older retailer kind of thing, they will have a question for you when you check out. Do you want a paper receipt or do you want us to email the receipt to you? Okay, well, every time you opted to have a receipt emailed to you, Google has noted that. And I just think that it's, I don't know, man. I don't like it because I think that it's one of those things that, I mean, if they're scanning your emails for receipts, what else are they scanning your emails for that we don't know about? And I mean, not to put on like a tinfoil hat or anything, but it's like, I mean, these companies are out to make money. They're not charities, And I'd say, like we've said on this show a zillion times, if a product is free and you can't figure out how they're making their money, you are the product.
Exactly.
And your data is the product.
Yep.
So they say that you can get on there and you can delete it back. There's not like a super easy way to do it. It's kind of convoluted, the process. You can't do any big like batch deletes and stuff. So you're gonna have to go through like each one kind of thing. They basically make it annoying as shit to like try to do anything with it. But you can supposedly turn off this tracking, according to Google, but they didn't link anything on the actual article, so you'd probably have to do a little bit of digging yourself at the URL that I mentioned earlier. But it was just one of these things that, man, I feel like my antenna is completely up in regards to all the social media companies and everybody, and just like, what why are you guys, what are you doing with my data, kind of thing, and why do I not have a choice as to how my data is used? Because in my opinion, if I generated it, it's mine, kind of thing. Now I guess that kind of comes back to the like whatever IP and stuff like that, but I mean, shit, dude, if they're able to gather data and sell it, then it's kind of one of those things that I'm like, no, then you should not be able to do that, period. Which, and it comes back to the terms of service kind of stuff and the EULAs.
The thing is, we probably agreed to this, but didn't know we did.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you said earlier, man, Nobody's gonna fucking read through a 30-page document of like whatever legal jargon, you know. So
yeah, this thing is just
ridiculous.
so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
You know, on the one hand, I'm just so cynical and jaded when it comes to these tech companies.
Yeah.
That I just assumed they were already doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not terribly shocked by it. Mm-hmm. And it does seem to me a little bizarre that if they were using this to target ads towards you, why would they make this feature public all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Because that's just going to draw attention to it.
Well, and that's, you actually had a really good point, because they say that you can delete some of this stuff, but this shit has been active for like years.
Yeah.
I mean, people were talking about, I was trying to remember if somebody just in the comments, I don't think I saw anything, but this shit has been active enough, or active recently enough, or I guess for long enough, that, I mean, people have like pages and pages and pages and pages of like receipts, or like, I'm sorry, purchases in quotations, that Google is tracking, you know. So I don't know, man. I don't like it. I think it's kind of I think it's inappropriate. I would recommend everybody hop on and deactivate this thing or turn it off in whatever manner possible, because unless you want that information out there, and you want, you know, if you think that it's awesome receiving curated ads and stuff, whatever, leave it on, man, because you're just giving them more ammo. But I don't know. I'd rather think about what I actually want instead of being told what I want, kind of thing.
Yeah, it feels very dirty. It feels just very dirty. And but, you know, at the same time, tinfoil hat time. Yeah. You know, I can speak from experience that one time I was discussing with my wife bug spray. We had about a 10-minute discussion about it. Yeah. Hadn't talked about it or thought about it in probably a year since then or after that. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, on her Instagram, she starts seeing ads for the next week about bug spray. Yeah. That's the only thing she sees ads for. Had never seen them before. That, to me, is not a coincidence.
No. I mean, we've talked about a little bit on these, or on Tether Radio, but people are, you know, every time that somebody brings up like a device listening kind of thing, everybody's like, oh, well, it's only listening once you say the wake word. No. And it's like, well, no, think about what you're saying. Like, how does it know to listen for the wake word? Exactly. The microphone is on all the fucking time, like, kind of thing. So, yeah, man, it's just, I don't know. Just think about it before you, like, don't throw a bunch of fucking, like, Google Homes and, like, whatever, Alexas in your house quite yet. Yeah. Because, yeah, man, that data, nobody knows not only how useful and how much money this data is actually worth, and we don't know how it's even going to be used in like 3, 5, 10 years kind of thing. So
yeah, that's the scary part to me is not knowing what the future holds for this stuff. Yeah. Because it's already gotten so advanced that I don't really understand it. I mean, a lot of intelligent, informed people don't really understand how this data is being used. Why is it so useful? Why is it worth so much to these companies? Yeah, to the point where they're doing all these malicious and dirty things.
Well, and they're literally being fined tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, so that, you know, the data has to be in the billions, like, for work.
Yeah, for them to keep doing it in spite of these fines, they're glad to pay a fine if it's, you know, 5% of what their profit was on this huge project.
Exactly. But anyway, keep your antennas up, listeners. Watch out for Gmail and Google products in general. Facebook is not the only, like, insidious company out there. So
turns out they're all crooked.
Yeah, seriously. But anyway, dude. So we'll go ahead and cruise on. Let's talk about this cult action in California,
Germany, actually.
Oh shit! Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So leave it to the Germans. So this one is really strange. There were a couple stories that came out recently. Some people have been killed actually with with crossbows in Germany.
Oh shit!
And,
crossbow killing.
Yeah, crossbow killing. Which crossbows are legal in Germany. These people were involved in this kind of weird cult. Some of the details are a little fuzzy, but this leader of this cult really did some bizarre things. Where, for instance, one time he had all of his female members stripped down naked while he instructed them about philosophy. So, just really, really bizarre stuff. So it's described as this quasi-medieval cult. And there were 3 dead bodies found in a rural hotel in a small Bavarian town. 2 of them were on a bed. They were holding hands, and they had been shot with a crossbow. And then the other body was on the ground, and it had also been shot with a crossbow. And they think it was some sort of murder-suicide pact. So just really, really strange stuff. And so after this happens, they find in one of these deceased people's home, they find more dead bodies that have been killed with crossbows. So there's this weird German medieval cult killing people with crossbows and having these weird nudist philosophical sessions. So I don't really know what to make of all that. So
the main dude, well, it was a dude that was like supposedly the leader, right?
Yes.
Of the cult stuff. Were the rest of them females?
All the other people
right?
identified in this story were females. So
Okay.
I don't know if there were other males involved in this cult.
Yeah.
This guy certainly was drawn to female victims, though.
Yeah. Dude, that I would think that like suicide by crossbow would be like almost choosing suicide by like fucking drowning yourself or something like.
That's got to be one of the worst
It just
ways.
seems, yeah, and it's like a neck, like right.
Shot
it
him in
was
the
a-
neck, yeah.
Yeah.
Went through the neck and the throat. That doesn't
just-
seem like a good speedy way to go about it.
No, in the least.
So, but if you're in a medieval cult, then you probably have different views on that. So
Yeah, dude. And so they don't have any like not leads, I guess, but like, I mean, is it potential that they're going to be like running across more bodies at some point, or like?
Well, that's what they're investigating right now, and so a lot of that's up in the air. So far, all of the people that were associated with this group that they found are dead now.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't sound like a very big cult.
yeah, as far as we know, the 5 members of this cult are all dead now. Now there could be other people running around with crossbows in Germany.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But if you see anybody with a crossbow when you're in Germany, be careful.
Yeah, seriously. Don't drink the lemonade.
Yeah.
Or the Kool-Aid. And definitely if he asks you to come to a naked philosophy session, decline.
Yeah, that should be your first red flag. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, dude. Super fucked. But
Really kooky.
so we're gonna go ahead and move into the home stretch. This is almost, I wanted to kind of cover this a little bit because basically I don't know how much is known about homeopathic / like complementary medicines out there, and sometimes people will, just because it says it's whatever proven to, just because the labeling says something doesn't mean that it's been tested, doesn't mean that it's, even going to do what it says it's going to do. But I pulled this one from straight up the FDA website. FDA warns manufacturers of products labeled as homeopathic for putting consumers at risk with significant violations of manufacturing quality standards. So basically, how the FDA works with homeopathic stuff is it's almost like an innocent until proven guilty situation. So what they do is they say, okay, well, you guys can make these natural, in quotation, homeopathic products, but you have to followed these what are known as CGMP regulations, which is it's called Current Good Manufacturing Practice. And so if they make a claim that like a product, whatever, is, for instance, and used as an example in this one, it's an eye drop, like a red eye relief eye drop that supposedly is all natural, all that jazz. Well, if you're putting something in your eye, it's required to be sterile, because otherwise you can cause eye infections, and it's got to be a certain pH so that you're not going to cause damage to your eye or anything like that. Well, this company, and I was trying to remember which one. Here we go. The FDA tested multiple samples of this Puritan eye relief drops, and let's see. I was trying to remember which company that was under, but
is it this Caddish Inc?
It might be. Yeah, it might be this Caddish Inc. But yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. So it's labeled as homeopathic, but they tested a bunch of samples of it and found that they were non-sterile. So that could lead to an eye infection, like I said earlier. And they also had a high pH level, which, according to this this press release, that could potentially cause like glaucoma or some other eye complication kind of thing. So watch out for homeopathic products is kind of what I'm saying. Another one that they sent out to Newton Laboratories, they did it in regards to a misbranding violation. And they basically said that it was this homeopathic drug was indicated for treating conditions in infants and children. And but it during the manufacturing process, they would potentially use a plant by the name of like Nux vomica, or like belladonna, or something else along those lines. That depending on how much, not only how much is being used, but if you're giving it to a child, a lot less would be required to cause damage, kind of thing. Because apparently in this Nux vomica substance, it contains strychnine. And are you familiar with strychnine?
It's poisonous, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's a very well known like poison for. I think they use it for like rodents and shit.
Yeah, I believe that's rat poison, right?
Yeah, something like that. Because I know that one, and then warfarin actually used to. It's a blood thinner. Used to be used as a or a rodent poison kind of thing.
So not things you want to take on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is okay, if you have this manufacturing practice in line and people are following it, and you keep levels super, super low, that might work out. But that the homeopathic drug field, or not field, but market, is not that highly regulated. Like I said previously, it's one of these things that if basically people complain about a product, then the FDA will go look into it. But if nobody's complaining or like reporting adverse effects and stuff, FDA just thinks that it's whatever. People are happy with it, kind of thing. So it's really kind of a scary thing, man. And be very careful about so like homeopathic and natural products that you use. And I would do some due diligence, or give it some due diligence, and like look into the manufacturer. And I can't remember exactly what. There's some kind of certification that I know a lot of natural remedies will get these days, and it's basically that it's like they've voluntarily allowed like the FDA to come in and like look at their product so they can get like the stamp of approval. It's still not FDA approved, but it's just kind of like, well, it looks like, seems to be mostly
they didn't put rat poison in this one.
Yeah. There's not a shit ton of strychnine. But anyway, I just wanted to mention this one because like I know that even being a pharmacist, I try to take the fewest amount of like antibiotics or any kind of medication, just because anything that you put in your body is going to make your body, change how it's functioning. Mm-hmm. Now, it may be a little bit or maybe a lot, but I just don't. I want to allow my body to try to fix itself as much as possible. So, if you are deep into like homeopathic stuff and essential oils and all that jazz, cool. I like it. That's fine. Different strokes for different folks, but give it the due diligence. Look into the products that you're using, especially if you're using them on children. And just pay attention, and just don't. If it seems too good to be true, it probably fucking is. So
words of wisdom,
right? But anyway,
this homeopathic stuff, though. I mean, I'm a little skeptical in general.
Yeah.
But if you're having a health problem, you should probably go to a doctor.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, go to a doctor and take stuff that you've looked into and ask a physician about it. Like, because, I mean, dude, these guys, I guarantee you, anybody that's been out practicing for more than a year or two, they have seen a lot of stuff come across, like St. John's wort, and like whatever, echinacea, and like all
ask
of this
your doctor
stuff.
About this stuff that's over the counter and supposedly natural and good for you.
Yeah,
maybe it's effective, maybe it's not, but if you're going to put stuff in your body, you need to ask somebody who knows what it is.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Do not take the label or the manufacturer's word for it that it's going to whatever.
It just blows my mind that they're allowed to. If you just call it homeopathic, you can essentially do whatever you want until people complain about it.
Until you get caught, man.
You're okay. Whereas if you want to patent a drug and get it out there, you have to jump through so many hoops and rounds of testing, and 10 years.
Prove its efficacy, prove its safety, prove, then you have to like scale it up, and make sure that it sticks true to the scale and everything.
Which,
and like,
that's probably a good thing because
it
makes things safer.
Yeah, well, basically what we deal with when we fast track shit is the current opioid epidemic.
Yep.
It's because, you get all these drugs fast tracked because everybody's in everybody else's pockets kind of thing.
Yep.
And then you end up getting a bunch of people addicted to a really nasty drug that I'm sure maybe we couldn't completely have avoided it, but I'd say that we would be in a little bit better place if the due diligence was taken and the studies were actually not sponsored by Purdue Pharma and shit like that.
Shocking that they don't have your best interest at
heart. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Forget about your shareholders. Think about the people.
Exactly. But man, I'm looking at the time, and I think we've made it. I think we've done it. So I'm going to do our little dance and jig with the social media shit, and then we'll sign off on episode 49 of the Tether Radio Podcast.
All right.
So yeah, anybody out there that wants to reach out to us, give us some ideas for a show, let us know what you want more coverage on. If we covered something and we just kind of brushed over it, dude, hit us up. Let us know. We'll do a little bit deeper dive into it and cover it on a later episode. But if you want to give us any questions, comments, anything along those lines, hit us up at tetherradio@gmail.com. That's TETHERRADIO@gmail.com. We're also on Jack Dorsey's Twitter sphere. We are at Tether_radio. We are on, I guess you could call it Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram now, because he's gobbling up all this social media. And we are on Instagram at Tether_radio. We're also on Mark Zuckerberg's original data mining program, Facebook. And it's Tether Radio, all one word. Yeah, man, this has been a good one.
Yeah.
This has been a good one. I like it. I liked it a lot.
I hope some people send in their Florida Man birthday birthday sign.
I would love that. I would love nothing more than to have an inbox full of Florida Man articles.
I hope we get to go do this. Actually,
yeah, right. But anyway, Aaron, I always appreciate it when you swing in and cover for my Broham.
Yeah, I had a great time.
But anyway, I'm Daniel, and this has been Tether Radio episode 49. We are knocking on the 1 year mark. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we look forward to getting back in your ear holes next week. This is Daniel, and I'm signing off. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.